Brought to you by PrayLatin.com, makers of prayer cards featuring complete English phonetic renderings of Latin pronunciations.
From the moment he stepped out onto the loggia as Pope Leo XIV on the 8th of May 2025, Pope Leo has endorsed much, if not all, of Pope Francis's agenda. This includes the Laudato Si program, the Care for Our Common Home agenda that was outlined in Laudato Si, the follow-up document, Laudato Deum, as well as numerous conferences with secular organizations hosted at the Vatican. These are historically anomalies in the life of the church. But here we are. The church has endorsed the environmental concerns of the secular world. At least the institution has through its human element. They have put the stamp of Catholicism on it. When Laudato Si was issued in 2015, Pope Francis received enormous praise from secular leaders. The church received esteem in the eyes of the world. And Pope Leo has promised to continue this. And he has done so in a way that many will find almost unbelievable. So I'm going to give you the most mainstream of news sources for this reporting because at the end of the day, this is mainstream now. The Catholic Church is fully on board with these ideas. So we go now to Reuters. Now, it doesn't get much more mainstream than Reuters. With the headline, Pope Leo in a thermometer push to open Vatican-run ecological training center. Ecological training center. A official church center for learning how to care for our common home. This is a full endorsement, full-throated endorsement of the program for 2030 promoted by the UN. This is a full-throated endorsement of all the things related to temperature and resource management, and of course giving not only governments but intergovernmental organizations unbridled power to solve a phantom problem. This is the church endorsing it officially, providing resources for training people with the church's approval. Here's the Reuters piece on this. It's not terribly long. Pope Leo will open a new Vatican-run ecological training center in the Italian countryside on Friday. That would be this past Friday, in an initiative Catholic officials say is meant to encourage world leaders to address the worldwide thermometer problem. You're not allowed to critique that problem here on this platform. The center, located across 55 hectares or 136 acres on the sprawling grounds of a Renaissance-era papal villa in Castel Gandolfo, includes gardens, vocational training facilities, and educational opportunities for local children. Reverend Manuel Dorantes, a U.S. priest directing the center, said the Vatican wants to set an example for how countries should pursue environmental initiatives. If we, the smallest city-state in the world, can do this, what is the potential for other states that are bigger than us? He said. Our world can be different if we work together. The ecological project named the Borgo Laudato Si was first announced in 2023 by the late Pope Francis, who was a firm proponent of environmental care. The center's large surface area represents about 55% of the Vatican's total land holdings, according to officials. End quote. So, 55% of the Vatican's total land holdings have been given over to this cause. Again, this is a full-throated endorsement of the Laudato Si program of unbridled secularism and the materialist gospel, the new religion. I have said previously that the synodal church, the new synodal church, as they call it, that is not a term I came up with or some rad trad came up with. Vatican officials called the Synod on Synodality the new synodal church. And I have said previously, this new synodal church will have a James Martin face. And I stand by that. But it will also have a Laudato Si face. It will be to the core green, or at least on the surface green. These are one of those initiatives that will appear green, but if you scratch it, it will be red. Red, like the hammer and sickle. This is them endorsing this entire program. Now, here is Vatican News also reporting on some things on topic that the Pope said on this subject. Headline from Vatican News, Pope Leo XIV, caring for creation is our vocation. Pope Leo XIV inaugurates Borgo Laudato Si at Castel Gandolfo, describing the village and its project to sustain and nurture integral ecology as a seed of hope and a model for ecological conversion. When Pope Francis invoked the term ecological conversion, we shredded him for it. Where are the voices shredding Pope Leo for this? He is in every way continuing the main points of Francis's program. Ecological conversion. I want you to think about that. The term conversion has religious connotations here. Let's go to the details of this article, because this should be eye-opening for a lot of people. I fear it won't be, though. That many will still continue to see, well, let's see what he does. Well, this is what he's doing. We'll not repeat the things said in that other article. From the article, quote, arriving through the main gate of the complex, the Pope was welcomed by those who daily serve pilgrims and visitors to the village. Walking along a tree-lined avenue, he greeted families, giving life to what he later described as the central theme of welcome, a principle that unites the care of creation with solidarity and human dignity. The Holy Father continued his visit in an electric cart, a sign of the project's commitment to sustainable mobility. He paused in the historic Little Madonna Garden, where earlier this summer he had celebrated the first Mass with a new liturgy dedicated to the custody of creation. Calling it a natural cathedral, the Pope had once again invited all to ecological conversion, urging reflection on lifestyles and greater responsibility in caring for our common home. End quote. This isn't a reflection on your consumption and your material habits, because they may stand a barrier to your eternal salvation, to your eternal destiny. They may serve as a barrier between you and Jesus Christ. This is not a call to see how you are living in light of the gospel and then to conform yourself to the gospel. That would be a conversion to Christ. Great saints in the past have called the church to conversion when the human element in the church had grown worldly and lax and lukewarm. St. Francis of Assisi, whom these folks invoke frequently, called people to conversion to the gospel, not an ecological conversion. This is the recognition of the Pachamama all over again, just without the idol, because the idol was too overt and in your face. This is a different kind of idolatry. This is turning towards the creation instead of the creator. We are now worshiping creation, it looks like. Meet the new boss, the same as the old. When will this stuff end? We're in this for the long haul, ladies and gentlemen. There are no alternatives to the Catholic Church. Our Lord made promises to the Catholic faithful that if they kept the faith, that he would abide with them, that the gates of hell will not prevail. But if you paid any attention to the warnings of mystics and Marian apparitions, if you paid any attention to those, that you knew that there was a time coming where a material chastisement was coming, but it was preceded by a spiritual chastisement. And the messages there seemed vague to many people, but they contained a consistent element that the bishops of the church and the priests of the church would be too concerned about wealth and the opinion of the world. And that would lead to essentially an apostasy. It is said by cardinals of all ideological stripes who have claimed to have read the Third Sacred of Fatima, they said that the Third Secret warned of an apostasy in the church led from the top. If you can fathom what that would be like. That is the only thing that I could fathom that would cause Sister Lucia's hands to shake so badly when ordered to write it down like she was in 1944, that she would have to pray hard for the grace to be able to do it. An apostasy led from the top. An apostasy doesn't have to be overt. It doesn't have to be something where people are leaving in a mass exodus, even though that's happening too. All it would take would be for church leadership, which they've been doing for decades, to get people to turn their eyes from Christ onto something of this world. Harsh words, I know. Let me know what you think of this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.